This transitions us into this next section that I have that's called Heart's First Whisper. And this is where I have some questions that I really
Okay.
thought through and I've got them for you. And I have them packaged and I'll show them to you on the screen. And you can just use your heart to reply. And I know you're totally right brain, so you're going to enjoy this.
Okay.
First question is, what does spiritual truth mean to you now? And how can someone begin to find it for themselves?
Spiritual truth is being in your joy. Spiritual truth is being in allowing yourself, and this is what I was showing too. Spiritual truth to me is allowing my joy to come to me in whatever way it is, and then use that as service to other people. That's being in your spiritual truth in this dimensional space. If you're trying to find your spiritual truth, if you have fear, worry, and doubt, like I said, it's someone else's story. And why do you have a fear? And why do you have a worry? And where do you have a doubt? And if you can let it go, can we 100% let it go? No, because we're humans and we're in this space. That's going to help you get to your spiritual truth is if you have no fear around it, you don't have any doubt around it, you don't have any worry around it.
Fear, worry, and doubt. You know, this is interesting. In the high tech field, they call it fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's called FUD.
Oh,
So
really?
it's the same thing, and so it's interesting. They probably got created independently, but they're so much the same. So that is something that's well known. Companies will use that kind of against other companies, you know, in a sort of offensive way, as you might imagine. People would do that too,
Right.
creating that fear, uncertainty, doubt, or fear, worry, and doubt. And so you're saying if you take that on and carry that, well, drop that load. That's not yours, and that's not who you are.
Right, because it's like you see someone saying, I use that as an example is Karen Carpenter. I don't know if you know who that is. Again, here I'm showing my age. Beautiful singer. She changed her life just by a reporter walking right by her. She does music with her brother. And there was a reporter right behind her, didn't even say it to her, just walked by her and said, "Oh, she needs to lose a little weight. She's a little chunky."
Well, you know why that's bad, and you know how she died.
She was bulimic. See how one word, one sentence can change the world. But she brought in that fear. She brought in that worry. She brought in that doubt. It kind of like gives me that story of the Twilight Zone. Here I go again. But you remember the Twilight Zone, that story where everybody had pig nose and that beautiful girl didn't have a pig nose and she tries to get into the operation to get a pig nose and she comes out and she doesn't have a pig nose and everybody doesn't like her because she doesn't have a pig nose. But in our society, she was this gorgeous being. You know what I mean? It's like I said, carrying on what other people think that you need to be, who to be, how to be, what to be. That's going to take you the furthest away from your spiritual truth.
Yes, and you might know too. That's like Dr. Seuss's "The Star-Bellied Sneetches."
Yeah.
They were the best kind of sneetches at the beaches,
Yeah.
right? And so "Star Off" and "Star On" Machine by Sylvester McMonkey McBean.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get caught in that trap. Number
That's right.
two, when do you feel most in the is space? When everything just flows.
Well, when I'm doing readings, while I'm getting downloads, when I'm in my joy, when I'm not in fear, worry, and doubt, when I'm doing what I love to do. Like, I'm really in the is space when I'm at the ocean. I'm so in my is space when I'm at the ocean. I'm in my is space when I know that I've helped somebody through my readings or through some words or even through a hug or acknowledging somebody and I'm seeing them taking that breath. That's being in an is space.
Right, and that's the best space now. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you're not there. And so, question
Right.
three: what's a story you were carrying that you've now released, and how did it change you?
God, there's a lot of stories I was carrying. I was carrying the fear, worry, and doubt, or I wasn't good enough, or you need to do for me, like my mom, you need to do for me, otherwise I won't give to you. I would always give to everybody, hoping that they would love me, the love that I was looking for. And I've released that. A beautiful story on that. I don't know if you want me to tell you about it. This was in Montana again. Very religious people. Everybody loved my son. Everybody loves Kenny. It's kind of like everybody loves Raymond. And then I had an old man come up to me and he goes, "We love your son. Are you Kenny's mom?" I didn't have a name. "Are you Kenny's mom?" "Yes." "We love your son." He goes, "But I know what you do, because of the readings. I know you this spirituality or whatever." He goes, "I know what you do." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "I don't believe in what you do." And I go, "Really?" I go, "What do you do?" And he goes, "I'm a carpenter." And I go, "I don't believe in what you do." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Your perception of me has nothing to do with me. My perception of you has nothing to do with you. And he just kind of went, I have to think about that. And I said, please do. And I walked away. So that was a major release for him, major release for me when I found that information of people's perception of me, people's fear, worry, and doubt for me is not mine.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you know what? That goes right into this next story. And I know we talked a lot about fear, worry, and doubt. So this next question is on that. You've said fear, worry, and doubt are never our truth. You know, we got that, done that several times. How can we learn to recognize when we're carrying someone else's story and how do we let it go? Well, you helped that gentleman sort of let it go. And it really feels like you get caught into some subconscious, repetitive, playback in the world, and you got to stop yourself with like a conscious awakening, stop those replayed reactions and emotions to wake up to a conscious decision of what's really happening. And like you said, if I'm not in joy or even bliss, then I must be carrying something I got to get rid of.
Right. And it's kind of like, okay, say you're wanting to write a book. I'm just going to use that as an example. And I've done this with readings. I'll be like, oh, it's Spirit is saying that you're supposed to write a book. And I told this to somebody and I said, they even gave me a timeline, even though there is no time, you need to write this book within 2 years or someone else. Then this is another thing they showed me. Otherwise, if you don't do what needs to be done, then someone else has to replace that cognate wheel or that screw. So I was showing it her. I was like, you need to write this book within 2 years. She never did. She after 2 years, she went to Barnes and Nobles. She came back, showed a picture of someone else, exactly almost the same title, the same subject, everything, but with someone else's name, almost to the T of the day of 2 years. And she goes, someone else wrote it. And I said, that's why. Whoever invented the wheel needs to be invented. Someone's got to do it. That's why I'm saying, if you're not in your truth, if you're carrying fear, worry, and doubt, maybe there was something that you were supposed to say to somebody, or maybe that you were supposed to give someone $1, or maybe you were supposed to open up the door for someone so that they can break open into their truth, then someone else has got to do it. Someone else has got to open up the door for them.
I feel like it's a big soup and we're all just ingredients. And you know what?
Exactly.
It's time to add a little salt, and I'm the salt. But if I start messing around and I don't jump in the soup, someone else is going to be the salt.
Yep. Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
it's interesting to think about the word you used earlier, which was joy. I do like that. You said that joy has even a higher frequency than love. All
Yes.
right. So, what does joy feel like to you? How do you invite more of it into your life? What's an example of that?
I love to laugh a lot. I love to sing a lot. If you notice, music comes to me all the time. Joy is my joy is, like I said, being at the ocean. It's my powers. When you find out what your powers are, that's where your joy lies. So my power is my grandkids, they give me power, or the ocean gives me power. I'm like, being with a pet, seeing the birds, getting insight, doing a prediction, and then it save people. That gives me power, not ego power, but power of like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. I need to keep on going. So if you connect to your powers of the truth of who you are without the fear, worry, and doubt, that is what's going to bring joy to you. And that's how you invite more joy to you.
Got it. So not ego power, but joy power, or power that translates to joy. And the joy comes from knowing that you're hitting your spiritual truth in that moment.
Right.
Right. So number 6, if someone feels disconnected from their gifts, like you did, how can they call them back? When you were 12 and you were disconnected, like right now, well, what if I was 12 and I disconnected from it, and at 17 I had an NDE, but I'm still repressing all that? I wouldn't even know. Is there any way for me to know?
When I told the energy to fold over, and in 2018, it wasn't even that long ago, I started doing these predictions and videos and things like that. I was saying to myself, I was like, I used to be so good at this. When I was younger, da da da. And then it's almost like that energy, that entity is kind of like, yeah, kind of like, remember? And I'm like, and they're saying, you told us to fold it. You chose to fold it. Do you want to open it up again? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, give permission to the 12-year-old to open it up again and come back into your body. Then you can reconnect to these prediction and this vibration, frequency, sound, and water. It's almost kind of like it was a fuse. Like I unplugged the fuse and now it's telling you it's there, but now they're telling you to plug it back in or turn it back on again. and allow it and know that I'm safe and worthy to allow this, whatever you want to call it, this frequency, the vibration, sound, and water back into me. And the minute that I acknowledged it, that's why I'm saying that was a blockage. That was a blockage. So I acknowledged the blockage. I'm like, oh, I don't need that story anymore. I'm going to bring my truth of the story in. And the minute that I allowed it, I'm like, oh, I'm safe. I'm worthy to allow it to open up now. I'm not in a survival mode anymore. And boom, the minute that all of a sudden, my predictions have been pretty dead on.
So it really feels like ask for it. Ask
Yep.
for those gifts back. Now, your higher self's going to know if you're ready for it. So the floodgates might open and you go, well, I'm glad I asked. And if you don't
Right.
get anything, maybe you're not quite ready yet. So, or those might be gifts that are not even yours. So just keep plodding forward. And what's interesting there on this next question? It's more about
Mhm.
intuition, right? So, how do you tell the difference between ego and divine guidance? And what does your inner knowing feel or sound like today? How do you trust that intuition? Is that an intuition? Oftentimes you'll hear or you'll see this little graphic of an angel on this shoulder and a red, object on that shoulder over there. Or which one are you supposed to listen to?
I always make sure I'm connected to the highest truth. So I ask, announce, or connect to the other realm and say, I'm only allowing the highest vibration to come through me. Because I feel like we don't really have spirit guides, is us in a higher truth where there's the fear, worry, and doubt. It's kind of like us above, like I said, a painting. It's like if you're too close to the painting, you can't see what you're painting. So our higher truth, what people would call spirit guides, which is fine, is up here seeing which way the painting's supposed to go. So if we connect and kind of calm ourselves and say, I'm asking a question, how I know it's ego, it's fear, worry, and doubt again. Someone else's story. And how do I know it's my inner truth? Again, it brings me joy, but it's kind of like, yep, I know it. You have an aha moment. It's like, yep, gotta go.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you tune in to the frequency of what it is you think you're hearing. And if it's a high frequency and brings you joy and other, other great feelings, wonderful. If you have any hesitation, kind of like when you're picking that shirt, whether it's orange or purple, trust the intuition. This happens to me all the time. And I pause and I just wait for a minute to make sure I listen to the intuition. And if I second guess something, there must be a reason for that. And you don't
Right.
want to sit there all day vacillating between a decision. You got to make a call. But to listen to it, I think makes sense.
It's kind of like an animal. It doesn't go, should I eat that flower or not? Like I said, it's in the is space. It's like, I'm going to eat that flower because I know it's going to feed me. Or the bird's like, should I eat that worm or not? And the worm's going, don't eat me. It's like, no, I'm eating the worm so I can feed my child because I can be in the is space.
That's right. And you only don't eat the flower if it's in our yard. You should
Right.
go into the meadow somewhere. But
Right.
hey, that brings us to number 8. If the veil was lifted one more time, you could ask the presence one more question. What would that be?
Only bring the people, places, and things that I can help. Would you make me even more attuned so I can help even more people?
Do you feel you can be more attuned than you
Oh,
are now?
yes. I would ask them, how can I allow more to me that this body, this spirit, this soul in this dimension can handle? Could you bring me more so that I can give more? Because that's our reason is to be on earth, is to allow, and then we can be of service.
Oh, yeah. And you are obviously of considerable service, but you're saying if you had even some sort of DNA upgrade and could even physically take more bandwidth and bring that to the greater masses, you would volunteer.
Right. If I could show everybody this space, what I'm talking about, I would ask that is like, is there a way that, like, kind of like your question is there a way that I could present that to them so that they do follow their spiritual truth? Like I said, we're all on the same Big Bang clock. Every aspect of it, the paint, the metal, the little pin, we're all connected together and it's all a purpose. It's all a purpose. And you already conducted and said what you wanted to learn before you even came into this dimensional space. You already asked for this. That's why the entity, spirit, or whatever, it wasn't doing an ego thing. It's like, you asked for this. Do you still want to do this? If you don't, great. There was no judgment there.
We set our spiritual GPS before we arrive.
Exactly.
It has a big, crazy journey for us. Now, you could take a couple of different lefts and rights, but you'll get back fundamentally on that blueprint that you created originally. And that's good, especially when you start to realize that and you don't second guess the flow of your life because maybe it's what you chose.
But I feel like we are born not for us, we are born for others.
Yeah, our greatest purpose is in
Yeah.
many ways service to
To
others.
serve others. You could be talking to somebody that's on a bridge and you're like, could you take a picture of me? Maybe you save their lives. We don't know. We don't know how one little thought, feeling, or emotion can change the world. And that's why we're here. It's not because of us.
It's because those ripples go far and wide.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they affect more than you might even imagine, the butterfly effect. Number
Yep.
9, what would you tell someone who feels stuck, afraid, or unsure on their path?
I would say, whose story are you carrying?
Yeah, but if they answered, I don't know, please help.
I would say, are you having problems with allowing or are you having problems with accepting? Are you having problems with allowing prosperity to come to you? Or do you have the prosperity and you just don't know how to hold on to it? Because there's feminine energy and there's masculine energy, and there could be a feminine that would be from your mom's story, or that could be from a father's story. Questioning where you feel stuck and why you're carrying it. Just keep on asking why. You'll get down to the surface of it. And sometimes you blank it out. I mean, I've done readings for people where they're like, nope, this is terrible reading, da 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 da. I'm like, no, something happened to you at 5. I told that story before where it was like, something happened to you at 5. Nope, nothing happened to me at 5. Something happened to you at 5. That's what's blocking you. Nope. And then her sister's next to her and she said, can I talk? And I said, yeah. She goes, our mom died when we were 5. So sometimes we block it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we did it. I did a reading for a guy and I was like, okay, something happened to you when you were 14. And this is really affecting all your life. And he's like, nope, nothing happened to me. So you can write down what happened to me. Where's my blockage? Where's my blockage? Where's my blockage? Write it 9 times before you go to bed. And then tell yourself you're safe and worthy to get the answer, because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm afraid of the answer. But safe and worthy to get the answer, and a lot of times the answer will come up. It might not come in your dream, and might come tomorrow because you want it tomorrow, but it might come to you in a week or whatever. I mean, I get this a lot of times where I'll be like, why am I watching this show? I don't care for this kind of topic. And then lo and behold, I'll get a reading and I'll be like, oh, wasn't for me again, was for them. I'd be like, oh, I just watched the show and did it. And they're like, oh, I understand it so much better now.